So let's go to the asset browser, and we don't need this part here, so I'm just gonna pull this window over, way over there. So we're gonna go to the asset browser and we're gonna look at some assets. Bforartists ships, or downloads I should say, nothing ships anymore, not software anyway, but it downloads with default stuff. So you got textures and lights and all kinds of stuff. Soon there will be objects in here. So that's pretty cool. So let's give it something shiny. So we're going to let's make it okay, let's make it this aluminum. What it says here, this aluminum color here. So we're gonna click, drag, wait. Here comes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong viewing mode. Okay, wait, sorry. All right, so now we're gonna go to the render viewer. Okay, so you can see what it looks like when it renders. Okay, there you go. So sorry about that. So, all right, so it was just click and drag. I could have dragged any one of these textures in there, but I wanted to go with something kind of fancy. So there we are. So now I'm going to, right now, we need to look at the render part of it, the render mode. So we're in the asset window right now. I'm gonna go back to the main window. Okay. So we're gonna go to the render, and the basic color is there, but you don't see any shininess or anything like that. All right. So I'm going to use, right now it's in cycles. Bfor has two modes. You have the cycles mode and I mean two renderers. You have the cycles renderer and the Eevee renderer. Eevee is a lot faster. Cycles can be fast too. Matter of fact, I actually have cycles set up to render very quickly. And we can talk about those settings later. So right now it looks weird. So there's no detail here. It looks very flat. That's because the lights are not set up. So first of all, I'm going to go to the world lights, and I'm going to drop the strength of the world lights. This is like the ambient light. So I'm going to drop that down pretty low because I want to use just the lights. So we're going to make it nighttime in our scene. All right. So I'm going to turn on some lights. Remember that default light? Okay, so I'm going to turn that on right now. Bam, there we go. Look at that. So we have some light, okay? So this is let's see what kind of light this is. This is a point light, all right? So this is a point light. So I'm going to change this light to an area light, okay? And there you go. So you can see even more detail on it. But you know what? Let's get kind of fancy here. All right, there's different types of lights. See how the lights moving around? So there's different types of lights in Bfor. So what I'm gonna do is delete this light. I'm gonna get rid of it. So I'm going to delete it. All right, and now I'm going to go to the add. I'm going to go to the add menu, and I'm going to go to lights, and there's a light here called 3-point lighting. Okay, and I'm going to go to turn that on. There we go. Okay, 3-point lighting. All right, so now I'm going to add that. So when you do that, you get 3 points. You get 3 light sources. All right, but as you can see, there's still no light. So I need to change these lights and make them more luminous. And so you can actually see the lights. And where you can do that is you select the light, you go into the light properties. Okay, you go to the object data properties, I should say, and it has the properties of the lights in here. So I'm going to increase the wattage. And as you can see, you're going to see more light. Okay, so now I'm going to increase this one here, and you're going to see more light. And then this one here, you're going to see More light. All right, there we go. So now we're getting more light on the subject. So I'm going to increase the size of this light. Let's go to the scale tool. Let's rotate and scale. See, I keep running around here because I want you guys to memorize it. So you got scale. So now I'm going to increase the size of the light. See how the light is changing on the cup or the mug? So let's move around here. Now, the great thing about these lights are you can actually wherever you move the light, it's always pointed toward the subject. That's the whole point to this light tool. This is an add-on in B4. And so you put that in there. So now you can see the lights. Okay. So now you can do some really cool stuff with it. Okay. And just keep moving it around till you like it. All right. So now I'm changing the size of this light. There, look at that. You see, you get more coverage when you do that, just like you will with any light. The larger the light, the more coverage of your subject. So it's kind of like, if any of you are photographers out there, that's what this is very similar to. So you will find this very, very much like photography. So, all right, so we have that. So now we need some type of background. So let's go back to the asset browser. So the assets, and then I'm going to pull the asset browser up. Okay, so now we need to go to collections here. Let's see, we got materials, and no, those are materials. Okay, so we got lights, got static meshes, backgrounds. Okay, so now let's choose a background. Let's go with this one here. So we're going to pull it in here. Okay, look at that. So now we have an environment. Simple, but we have a point of reference. Let's look under here. Oh, the cup's going right through it. So we're going to move that cup up. I mean, our beer mug. And as you can see, the lights move along with it. Isn't that cool? So we're going to put it right there. Okay. So as you can see, you got the shadows. And as I'm moving, the light, the image renders while I'm moving. That's the beauty of this the render mode in the viewer. Okay. So I'm going to, what I'm going to do is turn that off so you can see the difference there. See that? So it just gives you the basic view that we need to actually model and everything. And then you go back here and go back to this render mode, render viewing, and you can actually see it actually render. Okay, so I'm going to select this light. You have to select the light here. You can't select it out here. You have to select it here. And lights have no mass. They have no, they're not made of anything. They are non-renderable. You cannot render them, so don't worry about that. And then if you want to see what it really looks like, see this view here, this button up here. So you can click that, display overlays. So I can just turn that off, bam. So everything's off. So now you can see it without all the graph lines and the different and the lights and all that stuff. All that is gone so that you can see what it really looks like, and you turn it back on when you need it. Okay, so now let's look at a few more things. So if you want to change the color of the lights, you can just go back to the object data properties. There it is. Use those tooltips, folks. Object data properties. So then I have the light here. So I'm going to change this light here to yellow, because why not? It'll look cool. So let's change it to yellow. And then we're going to change this one, this light here, to blue, because why not? So we're going to change that to blue. Yeah, there we go. Let's go. It's a little lighter here. And then I'm going to deselect over there somewhere so I don't affect anything. And that's good. Okay, so now we're going to see what it looks like in cycles. This is Eevee. So we're going to go back to the render mode here, and we're going to go to Eevee, and we're going to go to cycles. See, big difference. Takes a little while to render, but not nearly as much as it would have if I had not changed my parameters. And so I'll tell you about that later. But it rendered pretty quick, and Eevee shows far more detail in your lighting and your object. Okay, so whenever I zoom in or out or move around, it has to re-render, but it re-renders pretty quick. So let's look at that. Here it comes, and it's rendering almost in real time. So that looks pretty cool. One more thing. Let's do one more thing to it, okay? This is a really plain color here. Let's add a little texture to it. So let's make it easy. So I'm a commercial artist, and time is money, folks. So these extra materials make life easy for me. So let's look at something with a little detail in it. Let's see. Let's look at this one here, and then we could play with that detail. Or this one. Is that the one I'm already using? Oh, that's one I'm already using. Okay, let's use this one. We're going to grab that one, click and drag. Okay, let's go. Let's zoom in, see what we got here. And it looks like we have some texture in here somewhere. Okay, so what we're going to do, whoa, look at that. That's pretty cool, huh? That looks pretty good. So we're going to go to the main window, and with the different colored lights and with the environment, the subtle, just simple environment, it looks almost real. This is it. So let's do one more thing. We're going to do a final render, and as you can see here, you have these two buttons. So this is your render active scene, and this is render active scene. But this one is for movies, and this one is for stills. So we're going to do just stills today. We aren't going to do a movie yet. So let's set this up to render. So we're going to go to the camera view here and click the camera view. Everything inside this marquee, this frame, will be rendered. So I'm going to pull this down in here, and I'm going to make this frame a little bigger. And the way I can do that is go to this button here, and I'm going to toggle the camera view so that when I use my wheel, the whole view zooms in and out and makes it larger. So I'm going to turn that off, and wow, look at that render. So now we're going to really see it render when I actually tell it to render. So this is good. So let's do that. And then I'm going to go to the render button and push render. And let's see what it does. Okay. So as you can see here, it's saying that remaining, I have 6 seconds. And let's see what happens. Almost done. Okay, so as you can see, this looks pretty good, but it needs some smoothing. All right, that's why you're getting the shapes of the faces in there. So I'm going to cancel out of that, and then I'm going to select the cup, that's done. So then I'm going to shade smooth. All right. And I'm going to go over here. The cup is selected. I'm going to go to the modifiers, and I'm going to give it a few extra levels. I'm going to give it 6. All right, there we go. Now let's check it out again. We're going to render it again. And here it goes, rendering. And as you guys are watching it, I'm not speeding it up because I already set the settings so it wouldn't render slowly, because I don't need a really high detail render right now, because there's not a lot of high detail in this object. So still rendering, and there we have it. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so this is our first tutorial in Bforartists. So this cup looks pretty good. Our beer mug, our metal beer mug. And so I'm going to save this, and we're going to save the image, and we're going to put it in we're going to call it, and we save it as ping, that's cool. And final beer mug. Okay. It's not a coffee cup anymore. It's a beer mug now. So we're going to save that. Bam. Okay. So now we're going to close this out. All right. There we have it. So now I'm going to get out of the camera view, and we're back here in the working view. So what we're going to do next time is we're going to I just changed it back to Eevee just to show you what it looks like. Okay, isn't that interesting? So we're going to go back, and on our next tutorial, I'm going to put a label on this cup. Okay, and we're just going to keep doing stuff to this cup. And the more we do to it, the more we learn. All right, so I just want to get you acclimated to this program, and there's tons of other things I want to show you. There's lots of redundancy. Some of the stuff I showed you on how to build this cup, there's actually a few easier ways to do it, or there's other ways to do it. There is no one way in this program or any 3D program. All 3D programs, professional level programs that meet my requirements for this series, is built on redundancy. Okay, they have multiple ways to do one thing, and I like that because it appeals to the way you develop your own skill, your own techniques of doing things. So until next time, we will work on this cup again. So keep creating and keep moving forward. See you later.